The wealthiest person I know drives a 10-year-old Corolla. She buys the same branded tea bags she's bought for a decade, and if you met her at a barbecue, you'd never pick it. No watch, no logo, no story about her last holiday. And quietly, without anyone really noticing, she's built more wealth than people who earn 3 times what she does. Because here is what the research keeps finding. The people who quietly build real wealth almost never look the way we expect them to. They're not the ones talking about money. A lot of the time, they're barely thinking about it at all. This isn't a video about budgeting apps or whatever investment everyone's shouting about online this month. It's about something underneath all of that. The way a certain kind of brain handles money, the patterns, the wiring. And the interesting part, the part backed by neuroscience, is that most of these patterns have very little to do with discipline or willpower. They have to do with how your brain weighs time, risk, and reward. I'm going to walk you through 7 of these traits. 7 quiet habits that show up again and again in people who build wealth without anyone noticing. And there's one of them that researchers say predicts wealth better than your income, better than how much you know about money, better than where you went to school. I'll tell you which one when we get to it. And hey, if you're new here, I'm Mia, and I make plain English money videos for everyday Australians. Okay, let's go. 1. They've made money boring. This sounds backwards, but people who are genuinely good with money often spend almost no energy thinking about it. Not because they don't care, because they've automated the whole thing. The pay lands, and before they've even really seen it, it's already moving. A slice to super, a slice to savings, a slice to the offset account. The bill's paid on the same date every month. They're not waking up each morning deciding whether to save. That decision got made once, and then never again. Here is why that matters. Neuroscientists talk about the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles willpower and hard choices, as having a limited battery. Every decision drains it a little. So the people who quietly build wealth do something clever. They remove the decision entirely. They don't have to fight themselves at the checkout because the money was already spoken for. 2. They think in hours, not dollars. Most of us see a price tag and react to the number. $200. Fine or not fine. People who quietly build wealth do something a bit different, almost without trying. They translate. $200 isn't $200. It's half a day of their life. A weekend away isn't a price. It's the hours they'd have to work to pay for it. Brain imaging research suggests this isn't just a clever trick. When you frame a purchase as time, or as a slice of what you earn, you engage a more analytical part of the brain, and you quiet the emotional rush that says, I want this now. It can be a little exhausting, honestly, but it puts a gentle friction between wanting something and buying it. And that friction, repeated thousands of times across a life, is where a lot of the quiet wealth actually comes from. 3. The growing balance is the reward. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting. For most of us, spending feels good. There's a real chemical hit, that little lift of dopamine when the parcel arrives or the booking's confirmed. That's normal. That's just being human. But brain studies have found that some people get that exact same hit from watching their savings grow. The balance ticking up, the super statement that's bigger than last year's. Their reward system fires for building the way most people's fires for buying. And here is the lovely part. The lift you get from buying something fades fast, usually before the thing's even worn out. The satisfaction of watching compound growth do its quiet work doesn't fade. It builds. It's one of the only money feelings that actually gets better with time. 4. Their future self is a real person. This is the one I mentioned at the start. The trait researchers keep coming back to, the one that predicts wealth more reliably than income, more reliably than knowledge. Psychologists call it future self continuity. Most of us think about our future self the way we think about a stranger. The version of you at 65 is blurry, abstract, easy to ignore. So, when you're choosing between something now and something for later, now wins, almost every time. Researchers call that delayed discounting, your brain steeply marking down anything that isn't immediate. People who quietly build wealth have a flatter version of that curve. The 65-year-old version of them feels real, has a face, almost has a voice in the room. So, when they're weighing up a purchase, they're not only asking, do I want this? They're asking, would future me rather have this or have what this could quietly become? And they genuinely care about the answer because to them, that person already exists. 5. They quietly refuse to let their lifestyle catch up. Most people spend more as they earn more. The pay rise lands, and within a few months, the spending has risen to meet it. Economists call it lifestyle creep, and it's the quiet reason so many high earners never actually get ahead. The people we're talking about feel almost uncomfortable when their spending starts creeping up toward their income. They've anchored to a certain way of living, and they let the gap between what they earn and what they spend get wider over time instead of closing it. This is the part that makes them invisible. They get the promotion and keep the same car. The income doubles and the life looks much the same. From the outside, it can read as boring, even a bit tight. From the inside, it's just that their comfort never moved, and the difference quietly went to work for them. 6. They feel the regret before they buy, not after. You know that sinking feeling when you get home, look at the bag on the table and think, did I actually need that? Most of us feel it after. The money's already gone. People who quietly build wealth tend to feel it before. They run the little film in their head. I buy this. I bring it home. I feel a bit silly. And they feel that silliness now, in advance, before the card's even out. Psychologists call this effective forecasting, the ability to predict how a future moment will actually feel. And the people who are good at it, in money terms, make far fewer impulse purchases. Not through gritted teeth, discipline, through accurate prediction. Their brain has already watched the regret happen, so the purchase quietly loses its shine. 7. They've already survived the worst, on paper. This one sounds a bit dark, but it's actually what lets them stay so calm. People who quietly build wealth tend to have walked through the bad scenarios in their head. The job loss, the big unexpected bill, the market falling over. Psychologists call this defensive pessimism, and it turns out the people who do it often cope better when something does go wrong, because they've already processed the fear in advance. With money, it means they've quietly built the buffer, the emergency fund that covers a few months. The fact that not everything they own is borrowed against. They're not anxious people, necessarily. They've just done the worrying early, once, on purpose, so they don't have to do it every single day. And that's why, when something does go wrong, they tend to be the calmest person in the room. Now, here is what I want you to notice about those 7. Most of them aren't really skills. They're not things these people sat down and learned from a course. They're closer to wiring, the way a particular brain happens to weigh time and risk and reward. And that cuts both ways. If you read those 7 and felt a flicker of recognition, lovely. You're probably going to be just fine. But if you read them and thought, that is not me at all, I want to be really clear about something. That does not mean you're bad with money or lazy or behind. It means your brain weights the present a little more heavily, the way most brains naturally do. Because here is the genuinely hopeful part. You don't actually need the wiring. Every one of those traits can be built on the outside, with systems, so your brain doesn't have to do it on its own. So here's what to do tonight, whatever your wiring looks like. 1. Automate one transfer. Open your banking app and set a single automatic transfer for the day after you get paid. Even $20. You're not relying on willpower anymore. You're copying trait number 1. 2. Go and meet your future self. Log into MyGov, look at your super balance, and find the projection of what it'll be when you retire. Sit with that number for a minute. That's the person you're building for. 3. Put one piece of friction between you and spending. Take your card details off the shopping apps that have them saved, so you have to type the numbers in every time. That tiny pause is where the regret can arrive before the purchase, instead of after. And 4, if you want the deeper version of all of this, the full system written down in one place, that's exactly what the Complete Money Map workbook is built to walk you through. If any of those 7 felt like a quiet little description of you or of someone you love, share this with them. Sometimes the most reassuring thing in the world is realizing the calm ones aren't doing anything magic. They've just set things up so the right choice happens on its own. One last thing before you go. If a lot of what I just talked about felt new, if money's mostly been background noise, and you're honestly not sure where you'd even start, please don't worry. None of this gets taught to us properly. Starting from the beginning isn't being behind. It's the smartest move there is. So here's where I'd point you. I've made one long video that walks through the whole financial picture for Australians from the ground up in the order it actually matters. It moves through 7 chapters, all in the Aussie context. Pay and tax. So you finally know your real numbers. Then super, the one most of us are quietly leaving the most money on the table with. Then debt. Then investing. Then property. Then the life stage decisions that quietly change every other number on the list. And finally, how to pull all of it together into one system that runs whether you're paying close attention or not. It's a long watch, I won't pretend otherwise, but it's the single best place to start because everything else on this channel builds on top of it. The video's right here, and I'll see you over there.